All right, so tell me about the tour, man.
It's happening. It's been going on all year, and we were just talking about that before you walked up here. It's been, it started in June? Or was it July? When did the tour start? Yeah, so it was June, and yeah, and we went to Australia, we did the UK, we did Europe, and now this goes all the way up till December, mid-December. So yeah, man, it's been cool. It's just, it's really turning to Groundhog Day for most of us. It's just kind of like,
Yeah, I'm sure.
the difference today is there's chickens outside.
Yeah, I know, that blew my fucking mind when I come out here.
I love it, man. I went
that
out.
is a rooster, right?
I went out and I mated with them. There's some eggs out there now. So
yeah, it freaked me
polluting
out.
the earth.
I thought I was seeing shit when I come out and there was a rooster sitting out there.
Well, first I heard it and I thought, man, this is some good weed. You guys hear a rooster? And they were like, you're high. And I went, yeah, but there's roosters.
But there really is one.
Yeah, they're everywhere. So that's cool. I went out. I fed them. I fed the mom and the babies, and so I did my good deed for the day, and it made me feel good. Felt so good. I put on a hat.
So I've had a chance to check out the new album, man, and
Yes.
it's really badass.
Thank you.
Really like it. I mean, I've been a fan of your stuff for a long time anyway. So, but this one has like a little more vicious, I think.
I don't know.
It's got a little more aggressive tone than some of the other stuff recently, to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for us, it was just a natural thing. The next thing we were going to do, we didn't really kind of plan it out till we just kind of went in for 2 weeks, wrote the songs that you hear, and then we kind of started piecing all the imagery and stuff together. And you'd be amazed how sometimes the imagery with all that can change people's minds and how something sounds, because a lot of people listen with their eyes and things too. For me, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like Condolences was heavier, but at the same time, we got songs like Zodiac that are, and the Hearse, which is, Hearse is probably the heaviest song we did next to Planet Eater, probably. So I don't know. I don't really know what's heavy or not, but it definitely felt like atmosphere, vibe-wise, we were on the right track, and a lot of the older fans were happy because there's tracks like Life Will Kill Us All at the end, and Bury the Hatchet that kind of are reminiscent of the earlier records, and so I think it was, for me, Necrophaze is the perfect, it's the 8th Wednesday 13 record. It's a perfect example of what I would tell a new person, new to the band. What does Wednesday 13 sound like? And like, this is what we sound like, because it's a little bit of, that record's got a mix of everything that we've done, plus the new stuff we're trying. And we just don't like to stay doing the same thing. I mean, it's still always going to, I think, sound like us. We're just always experimenting and trying new things. And, we get bored with stuff. So I think that's, that's what makes us creative, is we get bored with other stuff, and we want to try new things, and it's exciting for us, and luckily our fans approve of it, and they enjoy it. We've got them all fooled.
So tell me about the Wasp cover song, man. I love that song anyway, but
yeah.
How did that come about?
We're always playing music and stuff on tour, and I think it was always one of those things. Wasp was kind of always on after the shows, and they're a band I still listen to since I, always have. And I don't know where it started from. Maybe it could have been our drummer Kyle and I talking and just be like, man, we should. I think it was Troy, our bassist, was like, we should cover a Wasp song. This discussion probably started 8 years ago. Just sitting around drinking, listening to Wasp, going, man, we should cover Wasp. Then a Kiss comes on. We should cover Kiss. I think every band's kind of sat around, jammed on their favorite music, and we should cover this, whether you ever get around to doing it. And this time, when it for Necrophaze and all the songs we had, Kyle was doing a bunch of Kyle would demo a lot of stuff with his equipment he had at home, and he would send demo ideas, and he sent a version of Fuck Like a Beast that he did. And I was like, this sounds awesome, and we put it in the stack of songs to record, and right at the very end, that was the last thing that we tracked, if we had the time to do it. And I'm so glad we did, because it was such a surprise, because I thought the demo sounded cool, but once we completed it, And we really didn't do anything to it except do what we do.
Yeah, you did it your way, but
Learn the song, played it our way. I sang the way I sing, and when we went back and listened, like, oh man, this sounds like Wasp. It kind of sounds.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It kind of sounds like Wasp put like in like this, honey, I blew up Wasp.
Well, it's one of the first times I've heard somebody cover a song because you said you did it just like they did.
Yeah.
Typically, I don't like it if someone covers it and it sounds just like the original artist because I've heard it. But you don't. I mean, your vocal style's a little different.
Yeah. But it was also a thing.
But musically, it's pretty close, and yeah, it sounds great.
It didn't need the change on it. I mean, we did covers and things. We did a cover of Gary Newman that's coming out in a couple weeks as well.
That's cool.
So there's like, but it sounds totally different than his version. And
sure.
But Wasp, when it came to that, I think that was one of those songs where I think I know I've heard Wasp live several times play "Fuck Like a Beast," and it always sounded better on the live stuff than the recording.
Sure.
And then when we recorded it, I was like, man, this has got some balls to it. So
Yeah,
I was happy with
song,
it. Yeah, so I was happy, and I think a lot of fans that appreciated that just as a little bonus track at the
cool
end of
if
the
anybody
record.
wants to hear it live. Somebody like you is the only one's going to play it. Because apparently Blackie Lawless says he will never play it again.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's got his reasons for what he does, and I would never slight him for doing,
No,
whatever,
but I'm just saying, I mean, at least
But
we
yeah,
can still catch
but
it.
for me, this record was 80s inspired imagery, and like, just the whole idea it was kind of recreating the 80s thing. And the idea was we had Alice Cooper on the intro. I had Dee Snider slated for a part on the record. He was originally going to do the intro for the Hearse.
Oh, very cool.
Not the intro, he was going to do a part singing on the song The Hearse. Yeah. And then we were going to end with a Wasp song. So it was going to kind of tie the trinity of my 80s rock star gods. And but Dee, it didn't happen at the time. But we still recorded the Wasp song, so it worked with it. So it was cool, and I'm glad we did. We don't normally do covers, but this record we had a couple covers we got to. So you'll hear those as the year goes on, and in the next year, and we got a couple little. We didn't throw everything out right away. We got a couple of songs in the bag.
Little surprises to
we didn't want
roll out slowly.
And I wanted this record to be short, where it felt like it was fun, and then when it's over, you want to hit play again. It's not like it was like, oh fuck, I just wasted an hour and a half listening to it.
That's a good album if it's a repeat listen.
Yeah, and Condolences was a longer record, and I don't know if it was one of those ones you play right away again, but I feel like Necrophaze is a cool little it's like a funhouse ride,
Yeah, you guys have always had that fun vibe anyway, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing with the horror genre mixed together.
I think it just comes naturally. You got to have the comedy with the tragedy. You can't be all tragedy, then you get boring, and it's just.
I love the Bourbon Crow stuff.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, man. It's great stuff.
It's a drinking band.
Are you guys gonna do another one of those anytime soon?
I don't have any plans for that. We're so busy with the Wednesday 13 stuff, and just we've just really kind of just focused on this, and just it's kind of taken a turn for visually. It's just if you're at the show tonight, you'll see tonight. It's just a really theatrical thing, and what I want to take it to next year is it's going to be something really different. And I'm putting all my money in on this team right now. So back in the day, all this projects and stuff we did was just kind of out of boredom and just trying something new, or literally just being drunk. Going, let's do a country band. Let's make a puppet show. Let's.
Well, when you're an artist, you need a creative outlet, and maybe it doesn't fit with the genre you're doing,
worked,
right?
And every one of those projects, like Bourbon Crow and Gunfire 76, those were things different enough for me. I had to learn how to sing in an acoustic environment and use my real voice. And Gunfire I sang with my more natural voice as opposed to the raspy monster thing or whatever the fuck I do. So I learned a lot from those. So I think that made me a better vocalist over the years, because I've learned how to control my voice. I learned what works and what doesn't work, and so those projects definitely I learned a lot from them.
So tell me a little bit about Lyrical Inspiration. I mean, your lyrics are always pretty interesting to me, and they, like I said, there's a little tongue-in-cheek humor.
Yeah,
what do you draw from to come up with this?
It's definitely changed over the years. I mean, in the beginning, I sang what I knew, and I knew horror movies, so I sang about, and I wrote everything about horror movies, and then that kind of got to the point where I reached all the movies I wanted to sing about, and there was really I covered all the grounds, and so I kind of started telling my own stories, and so Necrophaze is literally just, there's stories of could-be horror movies, and I kind of visualize the song as is like a little movie. Each song is like a little movie, and so that's kind of where I take it from. And then there's always stuff like Bring Your Own Blood. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
That's the tongue-in-cheek funny.
Yeah,
whereas a song like Zodiac, it's not funny.
Yeah.
But I like that the lyrics from that song I took from letters he actually sent into the police. So there's like notes where he said, "Man is the most dangerous animal of all. I have always been here." Just all the lyrics. So I kind of made little rhymes with his. I'll say that. So I made rhymes out of his letters to the police, and so that's kind of cool. I like it that it is like a fun house where one song could have that little fun vibe. You're like, okay, I'm kind of safe, and then it goes into the dark corner. You're like, oh fuck, this is serious, and then it'll spit you out, and then you're kind of having fun again. So I like to take it on a cool roller coaster ride, and that's with the live show, and that's with the records, and I'm always visualizing it from, I never lost sight as a fan of what I liked about records, and
Sure.
I'm a fan of what we do, and I try to put myself in the audience so I'm never just, not thinking about the audience point of view. Everything is from that point of view. Like, it has to look and sound perfect. Oh yeah. Yep.
So who inspired you to want to start a band?
Alice Cooper and Twisted Sister were the first, or Twisted Sister, when we're seeing them on TV, I didn't know what it was. It was like a cartoon.
Yeah.
But Alice Cooper, I think, really made me want to do that. Just a lot of Motley Crue. Just rock and roll was at my time when I was young, was in the North Carolina and the Bible Belt. It was still all the backwards masking, and rock and roll was coming out when Nightmare on Elm Street was coming out, and every Sunday there was a church show on rock and roll, and it seemed evil, and of course you want to rebel against your parents, and hey, you're not supposed to listen to that. Okay, I'm going to listen to it. So that became the thing where that became inspiring to me. Rock and roll was almost like horror movies. It was kind of thrown in the same league of devil worship and all that, and I discovered a lot of cool bands, and then Alice Cooper really kind of put the icing on the cake, or he was the one that was doing it visually and lyrically, not all the time, not 24/7, but Cold Ethel and I Love the Dead and Dead Babies, and it was a lot of.
I can see a lot of that,
So Alice Cooper's been like my hero, which is why does the intro on Necrophaze and the record, and he's taken us on tour, for so many times, and so yeah, he's the main inspiration to open it up. He's like the rock and roll magic show, and so that's always inspired me. So I kind of take a little bit of kind of what he does, and even Marilyn Manson as well. I was still in high school when he came out, and that was a big thing to me. He was kind of like the second coming of Alice,
yeah.
And so I would say those two artists were probably the biggest on me visually, because I related to him. I'm a little skinny white kid with black hair, and and we all got female names. So that was kind of a no-brainer. So those guys are kind of my rock and roll heroes, and I took inspiration from them, and now I do what I do, and it's paying homage to them, and of course everything else I've listened to, but I do it my own way, but I wouldn't be here or do what I do without those dudes. But I'm also influenced by movies. Our show wouldn't look the way it looked if there wasn't the Halloween franchise and horror movies and
visual component
and G.I. Joe and cartoons, like our clothing and all of our costumes and stuff are based off G.I. Joes, or at least what I do is based off G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe. I get I paint myself like an action figure.
Yeah.
I have weapons like action figures, interchangeable hands, and weapons and masks and cloaks and swords, and I've literally turned myself into a real life action figure villain. And I've always wanted to do that. I've never seen anybody do that full time. So that's what I do, and that's what I got out of those inspirations.
So you guys moved over to Nuclear Blast on this. How's that going? I mean, how's that label?
It's good. I mean, it's I started off on Roadrunner with Murder Dolls and my first album, and did a couple of indie labels for a couple of years. Then I went rogue and went on my own and started doing the self-release thing, like 3 years before everybody else started doing it, and realized it was a lot of work, but it worked, and I did it. But I also didn't want to I became the record company, the band, the post office, and there's a lot of hats to wear doing that, and so I went back to label world with Nuclear Blast, and it's been cool. The first album, we got signed just in the nick of time to get that out right when it did, so I bets.
Yeah.
We would be one of your.
You still got plenty of room to grow.
Would, so that's the point of us doing tours like this with Static X and going all over the world, because they bring it. Our fans are still there, but we got a different audience, and so we're trying to grow our audience and show that it's beyond just, because I've been headlining and doing stuff for years, and that's only been a financial thing, just because it's we make less money as an opener, and but at the same time,
but the exposure's good, right? So
yeah, so it's been 2 years of us now, especially this year. It's been Cradle of Filth straight into Static X all over the world. All the shows have been packed or sold out. I think tonight's sold out.
I was going to get my son a ticket, and I couldn't even get him.
So it's cool, man, and I like it that there are a lot of people here that have no clue who we are. Yeah. But when we leave the stage, they run to merch, and they're like, "I've never heard of this band." And then they'll go, "Oh, that's the Murder Dolls guy." Or there's a couple people may remember. So
then they kind of piece it together.
But I don't rely on that material. We played a minute version of "I Love to Say Fuck," which is from my band prior to Murder Dolls.
Love it though.
But yeah, we played.
I had the box set.
Yeah. So we still play. We played that, but I don't rely on this. This is kind of a nostalgia kind of tour with the 20th anniversary of Dope, the 20th anniversary of Wisconsin, and it's almost 20 years from Murder Dolls in 2022. But I wanted to separate the bands. I've always wanted to separate the bands. Wednesday 13.
It seems like you're very forward looking anyway. You're wanting to.
Yeah, I mean, Wednesday 13 is really, really, like, I would say 10 years ago, the difference between Wednesday 13 and Murder Dolls, there wasn't a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Wednesday 13 now and Murder Dolls, it's so different. It would be cool to revisit that now, because it would feel like a different thing, because Wednesday 13 has become, I'm not speaking in a third person kind of thing, but it's, I speak for the band, it's like it's become a visual, theatrical, it's a theater show. It's like I've got a band and I'm putting on a theatrical show around them.
It's cool.
And it's cool, and it's a lot of work, and I love it. I have not made it easy on myself. I have a costume change for every song, and some song has two.
So how long does it take you to get ready before the show?
Longer than we play. Actually, not really. I kind of get dressed during the show. There's different props and things I wear.
Sure.
But what takes the longest time is just for the paint and stuff I use just to dry. It's pretty easy to do.
But it just takes a while.
But it took a while to figure it out. There's a method to it. It's kind of like learning how to bake a cake. Once you know how to do it, you can do it. But if you do it backwards, I got to do stuff at certain times. I've learned the process. I can use a hair dryer and dry myself quicker, or stand in front of a fan. So, but the best thing about it, it looks like I spend hours and hours and hours, and I don't.
Nice.
Visually, I think
so you've got it down to a science now.
I think so.
Pretty much.
It's just practice.
Quick.
Yeah, and the changes on stage, the quick changes, that's all due. I don't make it easy. I literally have a minute and 10 seconds, and that's about it for a change at the longest to do something, and it's a lot to remember, and but it's fun. And when I pull all the stuff off at the end of the show, I'm like, awesome, I pulled this off, and I did. I'll get mad at myself if I mess up a trick or something, but I don't know. I strive every night for perfection on that, and I want to, because it is like most of the stuff I do on stage are tricks, and I want to see the reaction with the audience. If I don't do it right, it makes me mad, but for the most part, I got it down. First couple shows, not so good.
So you've been doing this for quite a while now. I've been following your career for pretty much all of that. What's the most important thing to you now at this point in your career as an artist?
The most important part is having fun. And I wasn't having fun for a long time. So, having fun, not treading in the same water. I feel like this band is, since we went to Nuclear Blast, since I've had a game plan. Like, getting signed to Nuclear Blast was something I had in my head 2 years prior to that. I went, we're going to get Zeus to do a record, and we're going to get signed to Nuclear Blast. How you going to do that? I don't know. But that's my goal. And it happened. It literally fell right just like I said.
Nice.
And when I seen that, I went, oh, wow. I was like, if you want something bad enough, you can get it. And when I quit drinking, when I got my head out of the fog a bit, I really got motivated. I got really into making the band be as good as it could ever be. And I've got a really killer live band, and I wanted to make the show be just something no one's ever seen. I want people to leave going, what the fuck did I just see? Cool. Fuck, that was awesome. That was cool. Whether they know us or not, or even if they didn't like it, just even like the music, going, wow, that was entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of difference, I'm sure, in getting on these kind of tours.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of bands where the opener blew, not to say your will, but have blown away.
That's okay.
I mean,
you can say it.
The opening band has blown away the main act. Yeah. And Rammstein was one of those bands. I saw them opening for KMFDM, which I like and enjoy their show.
You can't
But
follow
Rammstein come out, and I'm like, how the hell why would you pick them as an opener? Because that was just fucking insane what I saw.
I mean, I don't think
sets himself on fire and shit as soon as he comes out.
I don't ever look at it as
a competition.
thing. There are bands that do that and look at it that way. I think we're so far different from Static X visually.
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's not even the same thing. So I'm not pulling all these props
out. Well, I wasn't
out.
suggesting that.
Yeah. No. I'm saying, like, I don't do a bunch of the stuff you see tonight. I'm not doing it as if like, oh, I'm trying. These are just how visually I want to present the songs. And but I think we have a killer show. It's fun. I learned how to be a better performer by watching our. So thankfully to YouTube and people holding their phones now, which is a thing, I can watch and see things and learn how to do it better. So I'm always trying
tweak
to
your own performance based off of what
I'm just always wanting to get better. Anybody that thinks they wrote their best song or they're as good as they're gonna get, then they should just stop, because like it's like for me, I'm like, yeah, I think Necrophaze is a cool record. I think we can top it.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking that way. I don't feel like I'm like, how are we going to top that one, guys? It's a challenge. I like a challenge. I like opening up for a band like this because that audience isn't ours at first, but they will be. We make them become our audience by the end. So you might have a couple of heads watching, but by the end, they're all on board. And that's a fun thing for me too. So that's what keeps me going, having fun, the challenge. I kind of got into a mindset a couple years ago of just, this is about how it is, just balanced out, and that's not a good way to look at it. So I'm ready for the next challenge. I'm ready to just move this band up bigger and better and keep improving it and making the monster stronger, and that's what we do.
So I talk to a lot of bands, a lot of different artists, and I kind of get a common consensus about the record industry right now, or the music industry as a whole. A lot of stuff has changed now.
It's awful.
Streaming and everything is out there. What's the best way? I'm gonna see if your answer matches what everybody else tells me. But what's the best way for the fans to support you, and you guys as a band. I mean,
come to our show and buy our merchandise.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing from everybody. That's
the only
that
way.
The albums
buy our
themselves
merchandise,
aren't money makers these
buying
days.
our merchandise online, buying our VIPs that we have to do now because we're not making any money off our records. I hate charging money. I hate that I have to charge people VIP. I think it fucking sucks.
The one thing, and I had a discussion with the lead singer for My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult recently about this. We were talking about streaming, and of course he hates it too. I mean, I haven't met one artist that thinks it's great.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how it's pennies on the dollar compared to what you used to get on a CD, and I totally agree with that. But do you think there's that opportunity too because with something like Apple Music, people can listen to anything they want? Do you think there's people who will kind of find you and seek out and listen to your music by accident that maybe would not have heard you if they hadn't had a chance to hear it for free?
That's one way to look at it too. But you can look at a band like Metallica.
Yeah. Sure. They're not going to
They don't care. They don't have any problems.
Yeah.
They can. So if someone in Brazil wants to check out Metallica, it isn't going to hurt them. But unfortunately, for a band like us who aren't on a level, even close to a level of Metallica, not even a level of Lamb of God or a level of Devil Driver, who should be on this road, we're not even at that level. When it's a band below that or at it hurts. It fucking sucks. When someone told me it's 15,000 streaming listens to get one sale. 15,000. And I'm like, well, what?
Yeah, and how do they, I guess you have to trust someone to do that, but how do you track that nowadays? You used to go by gold records and that sort of thing.
They're getting rid of SoundScan. That's going away.
But they don't even really have a great system for that.
It's just an open market now. I mean, the fans, as much as whatever they want to say, the fans have killed the music industry. It's not the music industry that's killed it. They'll always give the fans what they want, sure. And that's what they're giving them. Yeah. They're giving them what they want.
But it's coming from you guys.
They're lazy. We still got to do the record the same way. We still got to go and record. We still got to, fly people in, do this. It's still expensive as fuck. But for everybody else, it's free. Free.
Nothing's
backwards. Changed for us. We don't get the money we used to get. They don't give us advances anymore. They don't give us anything. So everything is still the same for us, and the fans got the free for all.
Yeah.
So if you want to help bands out like us, buy our merchandise, come to our shows. Unfortunately, we sell our VIPs. That's the only way we make money. We're not making any money off the label.
Sure.
Nothing. It's.
Well, I always ask that question because I want our readers to realize, that is the best way. I think.
But
they can support you guys as artists.
But it's not. You want to point the blame at anybody? The fans. Some fans don't know any better. They're younger. They don't know anything but the streaming thing. But I tell people all the time, if you're fucking hungry, you go get food, right? Yeah. You go to a store. You'll go to McDonald's. You'll go get the Impossible Burger or whatever. I gotta have it. I'm hungry. I want it. I gotta drive. Yeah. How much is it? Oh, it's $5.99. I gotta have it. But what if you're like, I love music. I fucking love music. It's what drives me.
Sure.
I used to drive to the record store.
Yeah.
I would treat, if I wanted if there was someone said, hey man, Alice Cooper Band just put out Love at the Death Part 2.
Yeah.
Where's the record store? Fucking,
you know what I mean? I knew when release day was on the albums.
I'm just saying, but now everybody's sitting here. Now nobody has to go to McDonald's. They just Uber Eats it.
Yeah, sure.
So even food, you're literally almost downloading your food now, and it's become convenient in a lazy way. People don't realize this, but the artists are working harder now.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to make a portion of what we used to make.
Yeah, because record companies used to groom artists. It used to be the other way around. Now you guys have to pretty much create your own following with social media and everything. Once they find you, then it's sign you to an obligatory little label thing, and
if you're a specialty
to give
band,
you distribution, and that's it.
They pick bands.
Yeah.
I know Roadrunner picks.
They basically sit back and wait now, and it
Roadrunner,
used to be the other way around.
Roadrunner pick bands.
For people.
I've watched them.
Yeah.
You can watch bands that they picked and built their career,
Yeah.
whether they would have got dropped off their first record. Like a band like Trivia. They went, oh, we're going to build this band instead of dropping them on their first album like they would most bands. El Nino or something like that. They would, back in the day, they would, they built bands' careers. And now it's not really about that. Nobody cares.
You make it on your own, and then they snatch you up when you get to a certain level. It's what it seems like.
So, to me, the only way to have fun, I mean, I still love putting out records. I'm not upset that we're on a label. It works. I don't want to do that side of it.
Yeah.
They're handling it and getting it done, and they're reaching more people, which is the point. Like I said, if I wanted to stick to what I've been doing for the past 10 years, I wouldn't be on a label. I'd be headlining, playing my own shows, playing to my own fans, whether it's sold out or not, and just doing that. But this isn't about money right away. This is about getting exposure, and I think we have something that's different than anything out there. And
it's a good tour too. I think it's a good tour to get exposure on.
Yeah. So far it's been good.
So one last question: is there anything you'd like to say to all of your fans out there? We have a lot of readers, so we'd like to get your feedback to that.
Just keep watching the skies.
Cool. Perfect.
Or definitely, because the sky is falling.